On 9 October 2016, a family of Syrian nationals of Kurdish ethnicity, 2 parents and their 4 children, arrived on a Greek island of Milos, where they asked to apply for international protection. However, just a few days later, the family was transferred to Turkey following a joint return operation carried out by Greece and Frontex, the European Border and Coast Guard Agency. Fearing that they would be sent back to Syria by the Turkish authorities, the family fled to Iraq. Believing that their transfer to Turkey was illegal refoulement and that their fundamental rights had been violated during the transfer, the family lodged complaints with Frontex, which rejected them. The family then asked the General Court to order Frontex to compensate them for the material and moral damage allegedly caused by the agency's conduct before, during, and after the return operation. In particular, they argued that if Frontex had complied with its obligation to ensure respect for fundamental rights and the principle of non-refoulement during that operation, those rights would not have been violated and they would not have been returned to Turkey, but would have obtained international protection in the European Union. The General Court dismissed their appeal and the family challenged their judgment before the Court of Justice. In today's judgment, the Court largely overturns the judgment of the General Court, which must now re-examine the case. The Court notes, on the one hand, that EU law imposes a series of obligations on Frontex to ensure that fundamental rights are respected in the context of joint return operations. Secondly, it points out that those operations may concern only persons who are the subject of return decisions. Consequently, Frontex is required to verify that such decisions exist for all persons whom a member state intends to include in joint return operations in order to ensure that those operations comply with the principle of non-refoulement. The Court thus ruled in favor of the Syrian family and found that the General Court had erred in considering that Frontex only provided technical and operational support to member states without having to verify the existence of such decisions. Furthermore, the Court ruled that the General Court also erred in law by considering that any violations of fundamental rights occurring during a return flight were the sole responsibility of the host member state, to the exclusion of any responsibility on the part of Frontex.